Hi Pravesh, how are you?
Hey, Pawan. How are you doing? Thank you so much.
So how is everything going on in Bangalore right now? How have you been passing time?
Trying to hope to get a good news every single day, and that's what we are trying to do. Majority of the time, I think is just going into re-strategizing the launch. I think I call it. This is a bigger time, tougher times as compared to launching a restaurant. This is like a relaunching a new restaurant altogether. A lot is going around with the team every day. We are on a call talking about the new menu strategy, the new pricing strategy. So yeah, I think everybody on the top level in the company is really working hard.
Yes, I think some great insights from you on how you're spending time. How do you think everybody should plan on recover from this apocalypse that we're going through right now?
Yeah.
So if you can just take us through what is your a quick 2 minutes on what's your point of view on the current situation that's going on.
My point of view of this entire scenario is this, that I don't know whether I'm right or wrong, but I primarily look at it as a tough, challenging time. The world for F&B industry for us is not going to be easy. The good thing is that there is a lot of misconception about F&B industry which is getting cleared. Everybody thought that restaurants are really high profit margin business, but the reality is this, that if we do not open our businesses for a month, it becomes extremely difficult for restaurants to survive. And and that's the fact. Like if zero revenues are there, it's very difficult for restaurants to survive even for a month. um, for me, I look at it holistically. If you ask me, I look at it as the world going to change and transform. In many senses, it's going to be much better for individuals, but in a lot of senses, for businesses and for economy, it is going to be highly challenging. um, yeah, I think a lot of consumer behaviors are going to change, in terms of habits of spending money, the where they are spending money. That is all going to change a lot. Look into an opportunity of calling themselves a safer place, making sure that we take small initiatives like creating a sanitization desk at the entrance of the restaurant, or
Yeah.
maybe hand washing sinks. So small initiatives like this 100% will bring that sort of market share back into the kitty.
Also, I think Big Brewski is in the forefront of Bangalore's dining out and nightlife scenario. You've been into the business for a while, and the customers, as the earlier conversation we were having, you're catering to about 45,000 customers a month. So, if you can just take everybody through how big is Big Brewski, what is the sort of format you guys operate in? Microbrewery, obviously, you guys are brewing some great beer, but except for that, what's the kind of experience that you provide, and how do you think that that particular experience is going to be hampered?
Yeah, so I think the whole idea behind creating Big Brewski as a destination place came out from the problems which the society is going through as of now. Let me take you back almost 5 years ago, when this whole conceptualization was happening of creating larger asset spaces. Why I call it asset spaces is because these are almost places signed for a 25-year old lease. So
Right.
we take a larger chunk of risk when it comes to heavy investments and long-term leases. So the risk has to be mitigated in the kind of format which we are creating. When we were dwelling upon the thought of doing larger microbrewery spaces, and thanks to Bangalore, because the weather has been fantastic, it gave us a great opportunity to think about creating such a destination space where culturally Bangalore does not have a place to visit. Like if you go to Bombay or if you go to Delhi, the heritage
Yeah.
of these cities are fabulous, even in Calcutta for that matter. So for commoners, they always like to go out into places where they can go for picnics or they can go for long drives, and there's a small destination where they like to hang out. However, in Bangalore, there is nothing. If you just take Google and figure out what are the top 10 places or top 3 places to go, you will
Yeah.
get Lal Bagh Botanical Garden, which has nobody goes there, right?
Yeah.
So we thought, where is the entire culture of the city, where people are going out, and if we can create larger spaces. In Delhi, there is Delhi Heart, for example. In Bombay, people travel out to Kala Ghoda and Gateway of
Yeah.
India. So there is nothing in Bangalore as such. And 63% of the population today, I read somewhere that it's all migrants. So where do they go? There is no such destination. when a traveler comes from other country for business purpose, he doesn't really need to go to Bangalore because there is not such places. So business travelers has been one of the biggest points to juice out for us, and we thought we'll create a destination where culturally people can come together. But why such a big place was a question. Why to create a larger space? So I in 2003-4 was working in the cruise liner, which was a British fleet, and one thing I realized that all the famous destinations or cities in the world are obviously because travel then was because of the ships and boats.
Yeah.
So I realized that all the famous cities like Venice or Sydney or Singapore or for that matter in New York, San Diego, these are all on the banks of ocean, on the seashores. Great Wall of China, Leaning Tower of Pisa. There is something massive about these places, and that's why they become seven wonders of the world.
But very to be at. Yeah.
So I thought to make a place touristic, there has to be something to do with the size. So something to do with monumental. And we thought that it will be a great idea because Bangalore is getting tighter and tighter. We call it urban jungles. When we were making our pitch
Yeah.
deck to the investors, we said that these are all urban jungles because the offices are getting smaller, roads are getting narrower, and because of the increasing traffic, houses, homes are becoming very small. Right? It's like Bombay, right? Everything is
Yeah.
super small. So, and that's the same thing which is reflecting in Bangalore. So we realized that there has to be a secret. There has to be a secret which is somewhere the city is not able to offer. And how about creating a large space where people can come? Just the awe of the space itself takes them for a great experience. It elevates the mood. And then obviously, timelessness is very important because we can't make a restaurant good for 7 years or 9 years. Right? We have to survive for a long 25 years. So the elements of nature, be it water, fire, air, so these are things which we thought should be the elements of the restaurant, and that's what we tried doing with the first Byg Brewski in Sarjapur. It was great. It was slightly out of the city. That gave us the confidence to do a 67,000 square feet place with a 2,000 seater capacity in Hennur, and we were sure. Yeah, it's almost a 2,000 seater. There is a nightclub and there are 5 experience zones. So that sort of gave us the confidence that this format will function. And then real estate wise, you can't do something like that in the middle of the city. So you have to go to the peripheries, right? Real estate. So we chose Hennur, which is a smaller micro market, but definitely has great future to offer. And that worked for us. And that has been the story so far for Byg Brewski.
Wow. So running a 2,000 seater capacity place, meaning you're going to have a floating crowd of anywhere between 4,000 to 5,000 people, or maybe more on a weekend. What are the numbers that you're doing in terms of people coming in?
So on an average, I said 45,000 people. So obviously weekdays are not as packed or as full. It's always at a 60% capacity. But weekends, definitely we get 2,500 people on a Sunday afternoon. It becomes like a great, it's like a Times Square or any square for that matter.
Yeah.
So different sections have got different experiences. Sunday brunches become really well for us.
Great. So with all the current scenario that's going on, we wanted to understand the perspective of 3 major parties involved. These are the 3 parties. That's the industry overall. It is the restaurant owner and how does he tackle the situation, and third is the customer. So what we'll do is we'll go segment wise into understanding on how every category is dealing with this situation. Starting off with the industry, there is an economic meltdown. The demand is at all-time low, obviously, and there's a massive change in consumer behavior once everything starts off.
Correct.
So what is your point of view on that, and how are you planning to take some measures to get basic economics and your bottom line and top line going after the lockdown gets done?
See, I mean, as far as the economic meltdown is concerned, I think everybody knows about it. Every single article, and there are thousands of them on the internet. There is no second thoughts about the economy is going down. When obviously the economy goes down, people, there is a category called need, and then the category of wants come into picture.
Right.
So we say roti kapda makan is the need, but in roti there is also home food, and then there is delivery, and then there is going out,
Yeah.
right? So I think first people would like to eat at home. If that is sorted out, then they would like to place orders from home delivery kitchens, or they will step out into smaller or let's say more affordable kind of restaurants, and then they move towards the luxury segment where the average per cover is anywhere between 2000. So obviously in the pyramid, if you look at it, and this is how the whole consumer pie is, like the kind of format of restaurant one holds, he's catering to a certain part of the pyramid, right? So if you look at the pyramid, we always say the fortune is at the bottom of pyramid, right? A lot of people who are frequently eating out, they prefer to now sit at home and place orders. So I
Right.
think
Yeah.
I think the impact will go from top to bottom. Hotel restaurants will get more impact, followed by premium, we call it PCDR, premium casual dining restaurants, and then comes down, the impact will lessen down to an affordable casual dining restaurant, and then the cafes will get least cafes, and then followed by the darshanis. So that is what my prediction is. I don't think so there's anything right or wrong, but this is completely my point of view. So I think the way the next 6 months is going to be is, and I think there is an answer to this whole problem as well, right? While the economic slowdown is affecting this pyramid, how about restaurants stepping down their pricing strategies?
Yeah. Because
Right?
definitely it is going to be a value game once everything starts off. People are at
Absolutely.
an all-time cash crunch.
Yeah. I was just having this conversation in the morning with somebody, and I said, "Would you like to go out drinking in a bar again?" And he said, "Of course, hell yes." He said, "I can sit at home, but I don't get that vibe. A lot has
Yeah.
to be done with vibe with a place." When I said, "What would you order?" Earlier, I used to order a Glenlivet. He said, "No, man, this time perhaps I will have a blended Scotch or a Vat 69 or a Johnny Walker Red Label or a Jameson." So, and he will continue. For example, a friend of mine said he's going out to Yaucha as a favorite restaurant, but he said maybe my frequency of visit will reduce. Earlier,
Yeah.
maybe if I was going 3 times to a place like that, perhaps now I'll go 2 times or 1 time. And then slowly and steadily, we will see how my economic condition or my wallet is allowing me to spend how much. And a lot of people are losing jobs, so obviously it is going to affect somewhere at the bottom. So yeah, so one is this, that uh, because the pay cuts and salaries are going to impact a lot of earners, and those earners are the main target audience for restaurants and cafes. And if you look at it, this whole microbreweries or bars or restaurants concept also function in not so much in residential areas, but more into commercial areas or in and around the commercial areas. The most successful bars and microbreweries are in Bangalore, surrounded in places like IT parks and those areas where a lot of 1 million plus people are working. This is the same case with BKC, for example, right, in Bombay, or a DLF in Delhi,
Yeah.
in Gurgaon rather. So if that audience is seeing a pay cut of 20%, 30%, or 40%, and some layoffs are also happening, I think
Yeah.
restaurants will get impacted big time.
In fact,
Yeah,
we have a restaurant called Butterfly High in BKC, and we're in touch with a lot of our corporate clients over there who, celebrate with us regularly, have their corporate gatherings, or even,
yeah,
just come into in. And even before, once the lockdown started, a couple of the offices had some initial restrictions of working at only about 30 to 40% capacity. So we still had our regulars coming in for lunch, and we were catering to some of them right at their offices. And yeah, definitely the conversations were quite similar.
yeah.
Pay cuts and layoffs is something that's happening countrywide. While a lot of employees are still on their salaries, the companies have openly told them that if this goes on for a couple of more months, we will have to relook at,
Absolutely.
how everybody's functioning.
Also look at as a social distancing as a customer. So while we
Yeah.
are talking about economic meltdown, the second element which also is the consumer habits, right? Um, we have a famous saying that mind knows not what the tongue wants.
Yeah.
We really don't know why we do certain things, right? In this whole 21 days of lockdown, and as we speak, there is some news flowing in that it's a 2 weeks of extension.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that and this is completely my speculation, that social distancing will be a new habit for some
Yeah.
time, and then comes the social contacting back again. So
Right.
so nightclubs wise, I don't think so there is any hope for the next 3 months, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But for cafes and larger spaces, if you can reduce your foot like your total
Covers.
number of tables and covers, there
Yeah.
is a good hope. um, Consumers and now obviously for the next couple of months people will not take their kids out or parents out, right? Because they have
Yeah.
more chances. So there will be footfalls, but the footfall will be between 20 years to, let's say, 50 years. And we
Right.
are thinking about what works well in terms of menu for this kind of consumers. As I said earlier, there was a need of sanitization behavior, which will show into restaurants. Even in home delivery, there are opportunities for restaurants like us to infuse sanitizing sachets, for example, right?
Right.
Or a no contact delivery, or making sure that we are posting videos. Um, yeah, I think that these are the things which I feel will reflect as a consumer behavior for the next 6 to 9 months. Um, and what should the restaurant do? The third aspect which you asked, how
Yeah.
should the owner respond? So I don't know about other formats, but I would like to share what we are thinking in Byg Brewski, with two outlets, about 500 plus employees, um, and a market share which holds about 45 plus 30, about 75,000 customers per month. For us, it's extremely difficult because my operating costs are extremely high, right? Like all the other restaurants,
Yeah.
we have a very huge operating cost. The larger the space is, obviously, the water bodies, electricity cost, and so on and
Right.
so forth. It just rationally gets proportionate to the overall top line. And if the top line is getting hit by 50%, and that's what my speculation is. If my top line is getting hit by 50%, and if there is no hope from the landlords, we are talking to them. But if there's no hope on the fixed costs like rentals, then we are in a bigger problem, which I can foresee, which I can really foresee
Yeah.
right now. Um,
But is the
so
force major clause right now being of help?
say that again.
The force major clause in the agreement, is that being of help right now?
Yeah, since yes, to a certain extent, yes, but then obviously, since not, it's just a suggestion. There is no directive as such, so I really can't contest on this particular thing. All I can do is to request, and I think it's
Yeah.
been helping. Hopefully, we should get some sort of a deferred option when it comes to rentals.
Got it. So, is as a restaurant owner right now, there are a couple of steps that you're taking, which includes changing covers, which includes doing a relaunch once everything starts off. So right now, I think the time is about not looking at the balance sheet and the profits, but focusing more on sustainability to get through the phase. How does one do that? And a couple of things that Byg Brewski Hospitality has lined up across the two outlets that you will be focusing on specifically to the Bangalore market.
So action plan includes, as you rightly said, it's not about money right now. It's not about profits. If you can sustain for the next few months with a break even, then you are definitely going to come back into game. Right now, the focus is on retrenchment strategies. Precisely what I have thought about is, if the rentals are definitely something which gets sorted out, which we are into discussions.
Yeah.
The second biggest cost for us is the manpower cost. Again, we have been in a cash 22 situation, but what we are trying to do is keep the guarantee of employment to people, saying that you are going to work with us for some time. For the next 3 to 6 months, we are going to change the nature of the employment. Maybe we are going to request them to start working for 15 days contractual payment, wherein we assure them that their jobs are safe, they are secure in Byg Brewski. They have been with us for a very long time. It's very difficult for us to lay them off.
Yeah.
And if they all agree, because in this kind of strategy, many of them will may choose to leave and get a full-time job. if I'm requesting them to work for 15 days, which is almost 50% of the salary, they have all the rights to go and work somewhere else. So there will be a 5 to 10% resignations, which I'm anticipating. But that
Yeah.
is one way to look at it. Obviously, the P&L is not going to help at a 50% salary. We need to bring it down to 40%. We may, and in fact, this has been a discussion with our senior leadership team, including the directors. We have been requesting everybody to come up and choose a pay cut. We are proposing a bracket of 25%, 50%, and 60%. A lot of them have. The good thing is that a lot of them have agreed to a 50% cut.
Hmm.
Um, and that is going to be a little bit of a safety net for us. Apart from the manpower, I think what we are also very strongly contemplating is the menu options. And
Right.
and I think earlier, because the nature of the business was that we will offer more items in the menu because it's a large place and everybody who comes in the restaurant should get more and more options. I think this is not the right time for us. We are going to bring down 173 dishes to 113 dishes, for which I have to close down certain sections. There is no point. Earlier, let's say there were about and yeah, there is an interesting data which I found out, which I would like to share here, that 40% of the menu items were contributing to 80% of the business. So when we
Yeah.
did the popularity mix sales by item, we filtered it and sorted it. We realized that only 40% dishes are contributing because they're the more easier one and more popular
Yeah.
dishes like nachos. And we thought, why do we need to have the balanced 60% menu? Is there a way we can cut down certain sections? For example, sushis and sashmis are not a huge contribution in the menu, so we are removing that section. Then came the point that, hey, in the Chinese section, how many dishes do you sell? And it's predominantly your Hakka noodles of sorts and a couple of chili
Yeah.
chicken and stuff like that. Can
So
that
more
item
comfort.
more
Yeah.
comfort? So, so the question which we asked internally was, can an Indian cook or a person who is in Chinese can do a multitasking, right?
Yeah.
Can one guy handle three dishes plus the section which he was an expert into? So we are trying to bring down the number of people by cutting the number of items. Obviously, my chef come up and said, "So this long menu, each section needs to be operational. I
Yeah.
cannot stop. I cannot stop tandoor section. I cannot stop pizza section. We need that expertise." So I said, "Okay, let's cut down the number of items." And then we realized that by cutting the number of items also helps us save money in the prep costs in the kitchen, which is your perishable marinades like meats and stuff. You need to bring it down. Lesser prep cost means lesser wastage, and lesser prep cost also means lesser store items in your main stores.
Right.
Right, the SKUs are going to go down.
More
So
automated
you're
ordering.
yeah. So where the asset inventory of the stocks was 15 lakhs, perhaps now it will come down to 12 lakhs, right? That 3
Yeah.
lakhs rupees goes back into the cash flow.
Right.
And similarly, we said, how about the consumables? Those times of fancy packaging of home deliveries and giving sexy looking bags with heavy printable costs. I think this is not the right time. We can take a hit there and go back in changing the packaging carry bags, make it simple brown paper bags for the time being, make it more hygiene as compared to focus on more branding oriented. A lot of we contribute, we get a lot of contribution from home delivery business. So I think there the parcel containers and your packaging containers are quite a cost. That is a good saving which we are looking at in terms of retrenchment activities. We are also looking at energy conservations, for example. So the good thing is that if I cut down the menus and the food menus, the refrigerator systems also cuts down,
Take
right?
less.
You don't need
Yeah.
too much of space in the kitchen, so that also helps in terms of cutting down costs. We have big cold rooms and deep freezers for those restaurants and that consumes a maximum electricity cost. So we are cutting down the cold rooms, but the deep freezer is still on. This is the strategies in terms of how menu is going to cut down on asset inventory cost and increase the cash flow. Electricity is one big thing. I think we are
Yeah.
going to. We are also contemplating: is there a possibility we shut down the lunch operations on weekdays? And I think there is a good. If you look at the P&L of only lunch business,
Yeah.
everybody is making losses, right? The air conditioning is on for air conditioned restaurants.
Correct.
Uh, there are staff working in that particular time frame. There are people who are doing break shift. The kitchen is firing up the tandoor all the time,
Yeah.
and the restrooms have electricity going around. So a good opportunity here lies in, and in what we used to not get more than 70, 60 people. So now I would expect 25, 30 people in the afternoon. So I think
Right.
if we shut down the lunch operations, there is a huge possibility of
Reducing
saving,
the. Yeah.
reducing thing, and reviewing the expenses in terms of Zomato, Dine Out. A lot of people do invest in certain times. I think it's a question lies in the restaurant owner's hand. While you need to have more market share at this point in time, but if some restaurants were spending 3 lakhs, 4 lakhs, they can review that kind of costs. Um,
So, Pravesh,
yeah, I
quite
think.
interesting on the micro, pointers on where to reduce costs. But what is your point of view on this entire situation when it comes to marketing? Because right now that game is completely going to change. It's not going to be about visibility anymore, but it's going to be about the brand, right? It's going to be about what the brand stands for, the hygiene, and many other
Absolutely.
measures that each and every restaurant takes at a back end level to ensure that customers come in and they feel more secure dining at the restaurant. So, how does that play when it comes to Big Brewski?
So yeah, I think marketing. This is the right time for marketing to step up, because we always say experience of the brand is the brand, and it extremely applies very closely with restaurant industry. Restaurants are all about experience, senses, moods, music, vibe, and we capture the maximum senses through smell, through music, through taste buds, through the overall vibe. So I think it's very important for marketing to think how a situation where there's a lot of depression and anxiety and distress, how do we make it happy, right? So I think from a brand point of view, experiences is extremely important. Challenge is how do we create experiences? For example, a lot of times earlier, people were spending money on DJs and bands. Now
Yeah,
they have to think about how they can create more experiential brunches, or even if you do bands, can you do two-piece or -1 bands still and
yeah,
create that kind of vibe? I think for us, for Big Brewski, the strategy which we are taking is how do we create happiness? How the
yeah,
brand delivers happiness? How the brand exudes that much energy and positivity right from the entrance to the exit. Every touch point needs to be where people, without touching each other, without shaking hands, without touching each other, still radiate that energy. And yes, and we are very clear that our whenever the lockdown gets lifted, our communication is going to be around happiness, celebrations, and this is what people are looking forward. If the place is safe and the place is saying that it's an entertaining destination, I think people will definitely come. See, it's like a situation that um, I was talking to somebody and I said, if there is a village where 10,000 people live, and those 10,000 people were earlier going out and dining, now there are only 5,000 people, right? So look at
yeah,
the situation. If there are only 5,000 people, the number of restaurants are still the same, assuming,
yeah,
then which restaurant gets how much people is the question, right?
exactly.
Right? The whole, the whole pie has become smaller, and now the question is the share of pie which earlier was smaller, can you make it bigger? Or to sustain, can you still maintain that share till today?
Yeah,
And this will happen with your pricing strategy as well. So apart from the happiness angle, or by experience angle, if you look at the pricing will play a very strong role.
yeah,
This is a good time for
definitely.
brands to say, this is a good time for brands to say, hey, we understand, we care for the situation, we know, in a subtle way, because it's an unspoken thing, like nobody really has a lot of money right now. So
Yeah,
this is the perfect time for breweries to say 1+1 on beer, or come up with some crazy cool offers where value for money is portrayed rather than just discount. right?
Yeah.
Maybe this is the time for restaurants to shrink their menu and as well as put your pricing down by 15 to 20%. Yeah, the whole cost of goods will go up from 30% to maybe 35% or 40%. But
Yeah.
look at marketing as a tool to communicate your customers what new you are doing. This is the right
Right.
time to tell consumers that, hey, we have been waiting for you. We are ready with certain ammunitions. That can be a new menu, that can be a new festival, that can be a new experience which you're adding, that can be a new offer, that can be a month-long special offer which you have never ever thought about giving before. Give something free for nothing. People love something against nothing. If they're
Yeah.
coming in and they're just leaving them with a small takeaway which they remember, that's what is going to let them remember you for some more time. It's not about what they get from you. It's about how the brand makes them feel, right? So right now it's about focusing back on how you can feel people happier, better, right, and richer. Somebody said that
Right.
there are three ways to be successful. If your product is making somebody feel better, or second, make them feel richer, or third, it saves their time. Home delivery is the perfect time. You said, hey, this is a delivery, guaranteed delivery in 30 minutes. No, nobody is giving you that. Yeah,
Yeah.
open up your own for, like, you know, your order contact numbers where you can take orders and you say call us and get a 15% discount, guaranteed delivery of 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Stuff like this, I think a lot, and this is all possible when your marketing communications are very clear without showing the desperateness, showing that you care for people, you care for your own customers. Try and call them back and assure them that there are certain practices which you have done. Put certain videos out on your Insta and social handles where people see what you are doing, right? This is a time to talk about how your staffs are really happy and waiting for customers. So a lot depends upon the emotional building with your
True.
consumers at this point in time.
Also, I feel that this is a great time for the people behind the brand to come forward and say that, identify themselves, let it be via digital marketing content or even on ground meeting customers, talking about like I definitely feel the trend now is going to be the chef driven restaurants, the owner driven restaurants, the mixologist driven bars, because people really want to know who is the person behind who's getting my food ready, who is the person who's taking care of the hygiene, who is the person
Mm.
who's making my drinks, how much can I trust them. And
Mm.
I feel getting all these things sorted, getting the people behind to actually become brand ambassadors for yourself and not relying on third party is something that's going to be the trend.
Absolutely, and individuals are going to communicate to individuals.
Yeah.
That's what is going to happen through the brand, and the brand strategies these days is about putting the authenticity out there. This is the best time because trust between brand and consumers is going to be the biggest question, and that can be done providing you have your own people talking and sharing what they're doing. I think there's a queue line there.
Yeah, definitely. So also, what is your point of view on discounting? Do you think restaurateurs are again going to get into discounting after the entire logout session that recently happened? Do you think that's going to be a great customer acquisition strategy? And if not discounting, then what do you suggest?
No, I think 100%. There's no second thoughts about it. Uh, it's not a big brain game to crack. I think discounting will work. Uh, we also have another restaurant which is on a much more value for money format called Bob's Bar. Great learning from there is this that you know the less the pricing, the less the impact from such recessions or such
Yeah.
epidemics. We saw a big hit because there was last 6 months there has been any which was this economic slowdown. But these restaurants where customers find good hygiene, great food, and cheaper price, they love it. It's just the way we package it. If you go out all the way and say, hey, discount, 50% discount, 25% discount, customers feel that there is something wrong with you. This is the
Yeah.
time when we should give discount, but again, the narrative has to be very well chosen. How are you? How are you giving value for money? It used to be pricing. It is pricing, but again, there is this whole branding element which restaurants miss out upon.
Miss out
Your
on,
brand,
yeah.
Yeah, out of desperation, a lot of restaurants, they see that they will do 50% discount or 25% discount. It doesn't excite customers straight away. If
Yeah.
your experience is speaking out, then there is a value for money which you are offering. Definitely makes a lot of difference. But you play around, like, you know, you play around. You say, hey, this is my currency of exchange. For example, we tried doing this in our food delivery model, and we said, if you order from us, we printed some fake currencies in a form of a game, and we
Mm.
said 10, 20, 50. 10% of the order value was the currency of exchange, which was getting attached along with the bill, right?
Right.
And every order, be it Swiggy, Zomato, or our own delivery orders, we said this is something which you can redeem. So people started collecting it. Like a 1,000 rupee order was giving them 100 rupees, and they started redeeming it when they next came to restaurant. So it's almost like a bounce back thing. You're still giving a discount, but you have just changed the narrative so that the customer doesn't say that, hey, I'm getting a straight away discount, right? It's a gesture which you extend to your guests, to your customers. They should feel that we care for them and not a trap that we are obviously showing them. So
Yeah.
the genuinity should reflect in the communication strategy.
Sounds great. Also, is this a good time to start more delivery brands from your same kitchen? So the idea is
Hmm.
that should there be a brand which is serving multiple cuisines, or do you make it a cuisine specific brand and make that more popular? Which one do you think works?
So for Byg Brewski, it has been a world cuisine. I think more than
Yeah.
200 dishes were there earlier. And if you looked at the popularity mix on the top 40-50% dishes, it was mix of Indian, predominantly Indian, and then Chinese, and then came the
Right.
European. And in this whole segment, we were not considered to be a. Big Brewski was for a home delivery great brand for, because of the strong brand affinity.
Yeah.
There is safety, there is quality, there is value for money which is attached when somebody is placing an order. But there is a lot of segment. There's a lot of people under that segment which were not able to order frequently from Big Brewski. So what we did about 6 months back, we created an extension of a kitchen, cloud kitchen called OBK, which is an old Bangalore kitchen. I thought it was a brilliant idea because the proof of putting light into our in our sister concern company, which is Bosba, which is
Yeah.
pretty much like a South Indian Carnatic food, and I think people are loving it. People come there thrice a week. That gave
Yeah.
us a good confidence to start something exclusively, but the CFT, as Zomato says, cost for two, was at 400 rupees, right? So which means a dish would be priced at 120 to 140. For
Right.
us, we thought that how do we extend our revenue streams from the similar kitchen? Mealtime periods are still the same. How do we capture breakfast? How do we capture afternoons? How do we capture midnight deliveries? Because on Saturdays we are fully utilized. The manpower is
Yeah.
completely exhausted. In that, I mean, we do this, but then we do a scarcity model. We say X amount of biryanis are available. If you don't order right now, it'll get exhausted. So,
Yeah.
that also works, right?
Yeah. People pre-order it.
Yeah, people pre-order it, and then there is this whole excitement. Oh my God, there's only limited portions, and if
Yeah.
I miss out, then I will miss out forever for the next week. So we extended OBK as a kitchen, and the response was fabulous. For the next 10 days, 15 days, it started growing. We called people who were placing orders. We asked our regulars to place orders, and the response was good. And they said, "How come it's so cheap? And is it really Big Brewski?" So we said, OBK is an extension of Big Brewski, right? Cloud kitchens obviously have one-fourth the cost. Independently, if you look at it,
Yeah.
all the cloud kitchens run at one-fourth the cost of restaurants because they don't have such high real estate costs attached or fixed costs, like rentals are not there. So I think it's a great platform, great time to grab this opportunity, but look at the individual P&L, because even so, I was telling somebody that if you're starting a cloud kitchen, the profit margins are very thin. If your real
Yeah.
estate cost is not less than 4% and your manpower cost is not less than 8%, it's very difficult for you to survive. So the format of business is very, very critical. we did this calculation and we said, if we do the delivery by ourselves, how much difference am I going to make, or how much savings am I going to make? And we realized that the cost is still at 18%, and we were giving about 22-25% to channel partners.
Yeah.
So there is no point taking all the stress, because obviously these guys also have huge data bank of consumers, right? It's
Right.
almost a trap, but you can always, so you measure it, you weigh it, because at the end of the day, economically it should make sense. It's just not out of excitement that you start another kitchen. Look at it in terms of the CFT. Look at the audience which you are catering to. Work out on your maths. It works great as an extension of the business. Um, if you're already having a restaurant, it's a great opportunity for you to extend that brand into a cloud kitchen or a sister concern brand. You can say it's by Byg Brewski, like an OBK is by Byg
Yeah.
Brewski. The carry
Yeah.
bag still goes back saying by Byg Brewski.
That's
So
it.
there's a, and they feel that, oh, there's more confidence which comes in for existing restaurants to get into this kind of model.
Right.
Yeah. That's a
Great.
fair answer.
And while all of these measures is something that you're taking, is automation something that you're getting into backend, which reduces manpower and
Yeah.
basically lets you rely more on machines?
Yeah, so one of our leadership calls which were happening is, how do we reduce the dependency on manpower through technology?
Yeah.
Obviously, we have our own platform. Website is web very well integrated, which is a mobile version, and also it's linked with the POS. So we have our full-fledged system to take delivery orders. There's an IVR which takes order, website takes order, and then we have a delivery fleet as well. As I said in the beginning, my delivery orders are great. So for me, how the technology can help is, we can reduce the number of hostesses if possible. That is number one. We are thinking,
Yeah.
if we can put a QR code on Fridays and Saturdays and let people see on the table that, hey, is there a way to I can scan it and I can place an order directly. Since my
Yeah.
website is like linked with POS and the POS is linked with the KDS system, the kitchen display system, I think it's a great platform. We were also discussing the opportunity of having food ambassadors going and asking help to let people place orders.
Yeah.
And I think that's an opportunity, but I don't experiment it right now, because I still feel that restaurants are more about human conversation. But push comes to shove, I think we will go into that mode as well. If the lockdown doesn't open, the backlogs and liabilities are going to literally kill us. So I think we should try and push this whole technology dependencies little away. As far as backend is concerned, I think we are pretty much sorted out with all the ERP systems, and we are not any which ways we are not depending too much on the human setups, lesser
Right.
dependency.
So this is one question that always comes up across all chats. There are a lot of people who had some projects going on right when the lockdown happened, right? And a couple of people were definitely in process of starting a new brand. So do you think it's a good time for people to get into a new brand right now, invest that much money and get started, or should they just wait for things to stabilize, which could be 6 months, 8 months, or to a year, and then look at getting into it?
Is the question new brand completely?
Either a new brand or say a franchisee of an existing brand.
So we have an existing brand which is under construction in Bangalore, in JP Nagar, within the Boss Bar, which is in action. For a new brand or a new outlet, I think if possible, one should wait a little bit, because the consumers would not experiment immediately. And there will be some sort of a demand apprehension in consumers' mind. But for the ones who already have established a good amount of, maybe to each his own. I think if Bob's Bar has a great fan following, I think we can still launch it with great pump and show and still bring that market share to us.
Yeah.
It depends upon how confident your brand is. I really can't comment on other formats. It depends. It completely depends.
Also, in terms of real estate, do you see standalone outlets working better, or do you see outlets within hotels or malls working better?
Is it a generic question? Like, general scenario?
Yeah, just generic. So basically, I'm just scrolling through the comments. Couple of people had some questions that they were asking. So I'm just trying to pull that out. There is Amit who's asking, do you think a mall outlet works better or a standalone post the lockdown?
Okay, okay, let's say BCAC, before Corona, after Corona. I
Yeah,
think before before Corona, um, my experience, I've opened many restaurants in malls. I was part of many good brands as like Hard Rock Cafe and Social. My learning has been very strong that a mall outlet which is not product driven and heavily experience driven. Right, there are two types of format. Either you are a product driven brand or a market driven / experience driven brand. When we say experience, there is more element apart from just food. Like it's not a food court, right? But a food court is a great product driven model.
yeah,
So we thought for an experience driven brand, mall is not a good place, right? Because with my experience, a lot of people who used to come to malls and then figure out that I have a restaurant or a bar, they used to not really come only for that experience. They used to come to the mall for 2 or 3 experiences. So it's like, अरे यार जल्दी खाना खाना है फिर मूवी देखना है, right? या
correct.
मूवी देख के आ गए हैं जल्दी खाना खाना है, या
हाँ,
फिर शॉपिंग करते करते घुस गए रेस्टोरेंट के अंदर. So this is what I have realized that, and then sometimes there's a waiting and people are not ready to wait, right?
yeah,
Right? On Fridays and Saturdays, you're like, okay, 15 minutes waiting, okay, I'm going to the next restaurant. So
yeah,
that is a big drawback I realized. And when it comes to independent high street formats, people go to that place planning that they're going to go to that place, right? They will dress up according to the space. Like if you're going to a casual dining or a fine dining, you will go there just for that experience, right? And for me, before Corona, I think high street and independent standalone outlets have always proven to be uh, much more revenue generating outlets. As far as product driven outlets, if you have a waffle company or a specific food company, I think it's a great opportunity to be in the malls. After Corona, obviously I feel that those places where there are many masses going in there, there will be certain apprehension for the next 3 to 6 months. For sure, there will be certain apprehensions. Overall, if a mall was having a footfall of, let's say, 10 million or 1 million or whatever the number
yeah.
is, that number is definitely going to cut down.
Going to reduce substantially.
Not because of only the apprehension of safety, but also the apprehension of spends, right? Spending in malls is a want, not a need. So
Yeah,
those people who now are focused on the need because of the salary cuts and pay cuts, they will obviously not prefer to go. So yeah, that's my suggestion. I think we should rather hold to open an outlet in a mall, and let's not expect great numbers coming in there. For one.
also another question is that do you think people are going to rely more on comfort food and that's going to be the consumption pattern, or do you think experimental cuisines and global cuisines is something that people would venture in?
So, as Indians, we are always, there is a theory which a friend of mine and me were discussing, and it's called the ginger garlic theory, right? If you look at how Indians' taste buds are, a lot of Indians like food which has got a lot of garlic flavor and ginger flavor.
Yeah,
Even though pastas like a spaghetti AOP and aglio olio has a lot of flavors of garlic, and that's why it's very popular. A lot of patties, burger patties, or pizzas for that matter, has very strong flavor of garlic. Look at Chinese. If you look at why people like Indianized Chinese chili chicken and Manchurian, because of the ginger garlic masala which goes there. So,
yeah,
so it's good to categorize the the entire cuisine into flavor profiles, right? So if you look at flavor profiles, ginger garlic and comfort food is that for me, right?
yeah,
Spices and I think that will always work. That will always work. The experimental cuisine has not worked over the last 1 decade or so. The molecular gastronomic restaurants or extremely complex food if you start a restaurant saying I'm starting a Brazilian cuisine, I don't think so. There are high chances for you to survive. Maybe for the first 6 months there'll be a lot of excitement, but at the end of the day, people like to go out in a good place and eat that whole. You know what sells highest is the nachos, for example,
Yeah.
which is very simple. It's like your chips and salt, given that whole salsa, which has that spices and little bit of a cream cheese. A lot of people go to restaurants to indulge, and when it comes to indulging, they like fried food. They like, I mean, I hate to say this that we are into the business of selling food, which is like that, but a person who likes French fries will always like to have French fries.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't force them to have a salad or a new experimental dish. That experimental audience is there, but it's little less. The flavor profile will always be the base. Play around with the base and then make the experiments. They will love it, right? You take a peanut masala and make it a peanut butter oriented peanut masala, which we have a dish. I think it flies. It flies very well.
Yeah.
So don't go too far from those basics, because Indians are very particular about what they like and what they don't like. They wouldn't even say this, but when you give them a new experimental dish, they will say, "Oh wow, this is fantastic." But again, back in their mind, the subconscious experience which they are carrying is the flavor which they are going back with, right?
Makes sense. Also, in terms of a lot of people are waiting to get out, get ready, and go to places. But at the same time, a lot of those places are premium dining. So, as per you, if you had to categorize into deliveries, which is dining at home, casual dining, and say a mid-sector dining options, and part number 3 would be premium and fine dining, right? What is your take on that? How many people do you think in every category is going to work, and what do you think will work the best?
So I think if you look again, it's like a pyramid, right? A pyramid which has got 3 layers: premium, and then okay, let's call it luxury, and then premium,
Yeah.
and then affordable, right? Uh, who is getting impacted? Everybody is getting impacted. Be it an entrepreneur, be it an employee. When the economic slowdown happens, when there is a kind of recession, everybody in the whole chain gets impacted, right? So, be it an affordable dining or a premium dining restaurant, everybody will get impacted. Everybody will see their shares going down of consumers. The number of people who were visiting earlier will definitely see that number is going to go down for sure. However, the ones which are at the affordable segment, right, they will see lesser impact, because those people who are on the middle, on the premium segment will go down on an affordable segment, but the one on the affordable will not go on the premium segment.
Right.
So there is a downfall of audience, the target audience stepping one step down, and there is and people moving up is not happening for some time. Right? For some time, it's 6 to 9 months, I think that is going to happen. So, a guy was spending luxuriously at 5,000 rupees per person in a finest restaurant will perhaps go to a restaurant which is now 2,500, right?
Right.
And a certain set of it will go. Like out of 100 people, let's say 50%, 60% people may still go to the same restaurant, right? They may choose the frequency to be lesser, but the balance 40% people will still choose to step one step down and then go to more affordable restaurants. Yeah.
Makes sense. Nikhil's asking, do you feel digital payments will go up till Corona lasts, as people are avoiding physical currency right now?
Absolutely. There is no second thoughts about it. I think over the last two years, I have seen how my cash component in the business has been taken. 94% has been the payments through digital ways. And now from for handing over a card, asking people to pay through Google Pay is more in the trend. So I think there is no second thoughts about it.
Right. Bhavya is asking, could you provide your take on nightlife business post the lockdown?
Bhavya, I think we answered.
Promoter based in Mumbai. Yeah.
I think I answered. I think I also own a nightclub.
With promoter agencies in Bangalore for your nightclub?
Sorry?
Do you work with promoters as agencies at your nightclub, or?
Yes, we do earlier. BC. Before Corona.
In the BC era. So, Pravesh, actually, there's a time limit on the live.
Yes,
in the next Like, this is going to go off. What we'll do is I'm just going to come back live again and request you to join me, and we'll just do a closing session post that.
Sure. Perfect.
Yeah. So I'm just going to end the chat and we'll just start one more.
Okay.